This is Ready Set Sold, the show that helps real estate buyers, sellers, and agents in the St. Louis Metro East area be more successful. I'm your host, Brian Vogt, a local realtor, Cardinal, and Blues fan, and author of 2 Amazon #1 best-selling books on real estate.
Sharing it, just trying to say, and I'll toss in these couple of plugs. One, thank you to everybody for their cooperation. Thank you for checking on your elderly neighbors in a safe way. That doesn't mean run over there, but it could be a phone call. It could be holding that sign outside to say, hi, are you okay? We miss you. It could be taking food and dropping it on somebody's doorstep. It could be taking food to the local food pantry because they have been hit hard, because we have a lot of people, if you watch any news, the unemployment numbers have soared. And so there's a lot of people are out of work. There's a lot of ways in which people can help, but what makes me feel really good, Brian, is there's an unbelievable amount of ways in which the Belleville people in this community and greater region are actually helping. They're really doing it. I made a comment. I did a little short video yesterday. They're going to play tonight. They're going to have Ogle's neighborhood has a really good neighborhood watch, very active. And so tonight they're going to have a virtual watch. And, you know, hell, I've had more virtual phone calls and teleconferences with mayors, and I never knew that word. The couple of words that are going to be most popular at the end of this year are virtual and social distancing. I think we're going to hear them until we're old.
You know, I tell you, Mayor, just to kind of follow up what you talked about, one of the things I did hear you say is that through it all, through the challenges, and there are many more to come, that the citizens of Belleville have been well served by your police department, fire department, and your staff. And the things that, as you said, which I love what you said about the Thanksgiving, you couldn't imagine that, is the fact is that, you know, that people are pulling together at the City Hall, all those locations, and still getting out the services that people expect. And I think that's important for people to really know that the challenges that you're having are still you're managing.
I will say, the police chief and I talk almost daily, probably twice a day some days, or the assistant chief and I talk daily too. Calls are down because we have less people moving around. We don't have as many gatherings. We don't have the bars and restaurants filled. We don't have the functions downtown or throughout town. We don't have as many traffic accidents because there's less traffic. However, we are seeing, we're seeing a few more domestic calls because people at home are getting a little frail. Their nerves are coming a little bit unglued. So I just ask people, you know, be kind to one another. Take a deep breath. Take a walk around your neighborhood if you start to feel the tension. Think about, like I said, your neighbors. Think about, instead of complaining about, oh, this is terrible what's happened to me, what can I do to make a difference? But what I started to say, and what I always have felt in this job that I count nothing but as an honor to have, being the mayor, I am constantly reminded that the people of Belleville are terribly residual. They have a ton of perseverance, a lot of pride, and they just really, when it comes to needing to get something done, the people in Belleville roll up their sleeves and they go to work. And I'm really pleased at what I'm seeing so far. Now the question is, can we keep it up? Because we may be challenged. You know, you listen to some of the doctors and newscasts. My oldest son is a doctor, but he's out in Seattle, Washington, Tacoma. He's a trauma surgeon in the Army. And we talk hopefully at least once a week. And you know, he and I've talked, and he said too, he says, Dad, this is unbelievable. And he said, it's not necessarily going to go away as quick as it came on us, it seems like. And as you and I said in the beginning, we're going to have to develop some new norms, some new habits, some new structure to our daily living. And we're going to, you know, I told one of my short videos I did, I said, look, wash your hands. And I got my mask in the other room
Sure.
because I'm in here by myself right now, and it wouldn't probably sound so good. But people got to wear a mask if they're out in public. They got to keep their social distance. They've got to wash their hands. I always felt like I was clean, but I've never washed my hands so much in my life. And you know, my kids, you know, we're probably, I'm not trying to guess your age, but I turned 64 in January, this past January. And they're, you know, my kids are like, Dad, you gotta take care of yourself. You're at that age. I said, thanks, but they're right. And I do get around normally a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now, right now, today, again, some days I'm the only one up on the second floor the last couple of weeks. I might come up here and be alone, which sometimes that's okay too.
Right.
But you know, it's just a totally different world that we're working in and living in at the moment. But in summing some of this up, and I'll take any questions you have.
Sure.
I just ask, I say thank you. I say thank you to you for doing something like this to inform people. Because the more venues we can get out the words, you know, to remind people to exercise good caution and safety habits, to check on people and to be community minded, to wash your hands, to emphasize all these safety procedures, to learn and read in the news, you know, because there's something new coming out every day that we should be learning.
Sure.
This is a scary time, but it also is a time when we've got to restructure ourselves because this is maybe the new normal. And I hate to say that some of our old habits, you know, I'm a person that always liked to shake hands.
Sure.
You know, I like to engage a group of people. I'm a people person. You know, I guess if I wasn't, you probably shouldn't run for office. But, you know, we're going to have to rethink how we approach that. We're going to have to be smiling and talking a little bit more from across the room
Sure.
than we are all bunched up. And it's just the way we're going to have to do it. We're going to have more meetings like this via technology than we are going to be able to huddle everybody around a small table. Now, I miss the family dinners right now, even my kids. My wife and I and my youngest daughter, who's studying to be a teacher, she's at McHenry, she lives at home, of my 4 kids. And the 3 of us and the dog have been pretty close. And most nights they always say, well, where are you going tonight, Dad or Mom? You know, you're leaving, now we don't have the dinners. We don't have the night meetings. And it's different. But there's been something said for rediscovering family time. I've spent more time talking across the yard to some of my neighbors than I have in a long time. So I think we've got to look at the good things that have been forced upon us.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, Mayor, like I said, we're running a little bit short on time. I just want to make sure, but your gist of it and what I really appreciated what you said is how we're kind of ending this too. It is, you know, we're all, you know, it's not a catchy phrase anymore. It's the truth. We're all the same race, the human race.
Yeah.
I mean, we really are. And the things you're talking about of connections, that it will be different. And I also appreciate the fact is that we have a road to go yet. This is not something that is, you know, we happen to be in a political year, okay, election year, and
it's not going to change overnight.
Right, and I think that's also important to know is that, you know, we're taking this one step at a time, but we are taking it one step at a time and moving forward, and I think that's the important part too.
One last thing I want to conclude with is, I said in my little video yesterday, I have always loved and admired all of our educators, but some of them are working so unbelievably hard trying to get the lessons out from home now via Skype or Zoom or whatever. But I also have a whole, and I think parents would agree with me, parents, and I'm a grandparent now, we have a whole found new appreciation for educators because the parents are home doing a lot of educating now, and they're reminded how much these teachers do day in and day out in the classroom. It's been a learning, eye-opening experience in spite of how terrible parts of this have been. Some people have lost their jobs. Some people, it's horrible. But there's been some eye-opening awakenings and some discoveries that something like this does force upon us. And the education side of it is another example.
I agree with you, and just to end with that, because I think the educational part, I think that is, again, everything is up for grabs as far as how we move forward here. But I really do believe that education, the video, the technology used in a proper way will change. I don't think it may. It will change how schools, how universities, how everything is done in the future, and that could be very much for the better too. It's not saying it's all bad, but it's just a different way of doing it. And one thing I heard the other day, and I have to agree with, that we're finding that technology isn't just for social networking. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
We're using a ton of it here for meetings and interaction with department heads and staff, and we're doing it so that we're operating in a safe fashion. But we're also finding out in some cases it works, and maybe we don't have to all run to City Hall for the same meeting at the same moment. So we are learning. We can and we must learn from this horrible situation that's been thrust upon us.
I agree. With that, Mayor, I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for all the work that you're doing, and also your staff and all your departments, because again, you are the largest city in Southern Illinois, and your pressures are just different than most communities in Illinois until maybe you get up to Springfield. I mean, so it's a pretty big difference, and I thank you for your time.
Springfield's not bigger than us, but the mayor of Springfield and I talk often at IML, and he's got bigger headaches than me because he's got more people, but we all have the same headaches.
I understand. With that, I will end it. I thank you for everyone watching today, and until next time, make it a great day.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Got a question about real estate around the St. Louis Metro East area? Call me, Brian Vogt, at 618-210-2451. Or for a free copy of my Amazon #1 best-selling book, Ready, Set, Sold, visit my website at brianvogt.com. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brian Vogt. Until next time on Ready, Set, Sold.